So good morning, everybody. We're reading through Deuteronomy 17 to 20. And there was one time that I found it hard to read through Deuteronomy, but for these last couple of years, I've been intrigued by Deuteronomy. And here we read the warning to be careful not to do what is evil in the Lord's eyes. And that's worded that way for a reason. Not to do evil, not to do what is evil in the Lord's eyes. Yeah. We are to live by every word that proceeds from his mouth. Yeah, man does not live on bread alone, right? We live by every word that proceeds from his mouth, that comes from his mouth, that is spoken by him. And this is important because we all have our own inbuilt notions of what is right and wrong. We all have our standards of what is considered good and what is evil. But we're told, I'm not told not to do what is evil in Bob's eyes. I'm not told to do not to do what is evil in my prime minister's eyes. I'm not even told not to do what is evil in the police officer's eyes. I am told not to do what is evil in my Father's eyes. So because things change a lot, and we've seen a huge shift in our society just in the last 10 years, and some who don't remember that far back will note that there's a huge change in the last 3 years. In the last year, the change in our society is almost breathtaking that we see going on. And there are those who celebrate it, and there are those who mourn it. But it is happening, and we can't overlook that. But society doesn't get to dictate to me what the standard is. I don't measure actually with society, because I belong to a different place. And the one who carries a standard is my Lord, is my Father, because there's nowhere that says don't do evil, don't do what is evil in your society's eyes, because there is no standard there. It's shifting sand. It's constantly changing. So what was evil 10 years ago is not evil today, because it's shifting. What was evil 50 years ago is not evil today. It's shifting. There are still some things that are considered evil, but there are other things that are no longer considered evil. So I can't measure against that. It's like there are certain measurements in the world that are the standard, and they're kept in a special place, and everything is measured against those things. And we have to be careful that we don't think that because something is now acceptable in our society, that it is acceptable to our Father. No, this is where we measure. This is how we measure, and we're told to be very careful, because we live by his standards and not by anybody else. At the end of the age, we will be, those who are without Christ will be held to account by his standards, not by the world's standards. And we ourselves will have to give an account of our behavior according to his standards, not according to our standards. So this is why we study the Word, to know the Father's heart, to understand his standards, to understand what is important, to love the Lord with all your heart, with all your mind, with all your soul, with all your strength, to love your neighbor as yourself. And these are the standards that we will be held up to. So it's important to know where we stand in these things. But of course, the salvation is not based upon our works, but based upon our relationship. But that relationship is a relationship of love, and so it should be reflected in our actions. We need to be careful there that we don't get it backwards. We don't try to love him by what we do, but we do what we do because we love him. Yeah, and it's his standards. It's what he's written on our hearts. So yeah, you be blessed today, be encouraged, and continue continue serving. God bless.